Good afternoon, members of the media. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. Today we have the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Stephen Corbishley, and he has a reassuring message to the community as well as a New Year's message. Commissioner?
Thank you. Over the last 72 hours, we've seen an increase in tensions between gangs on the islands that's been well reported. This came to a head with the tragic murder of Renico Birchall on Saturday morning, and at present a 31-year-old male has been arrested in connection with this matter, and a full investigation continues involving the BPS's Serious Crime Unit. Over the next few days, the public can expect to see heightened levels of police activity, more police officers visible on the streets assisting the community. And there may be some inconvenience as officers engage the public as we stop people, perhaps ask them questions and make sure that people are safe. There is a person of interest that the police are looking for in addition to the male that's currently in custody. He is aware that we are searching for him, as is his family and his friends. And I urge him to turn himself in, to come to us and answer questions, and also for us to ensure his personal safety. In addition, we'll be taking robust measures to ensure the safety of all the public at New Year's events and the football games across the island over the next few days. And we'll be liaising with the BFA around security at the games tomorrow in Somerset. We know after these games that parties will take place, and people are entitled to enjoy themselves and celebrate the new year. But our expectation is that they have a standard of behaviour, that they behave appropriately without antisocial behaviour and without violence, and we will address any instance of disorder, as I say, robustly. We'll also be deploying armed police officers on the streets. That's not unusual, but it allows a presence and for people to be reassured as they go about their business. But the vast majority of police officers will be unarmed as they work during this period to ensure that everybody has a good time and that they are safe. We are working very hard to address the murder that took place a week ago. As said, we have a person in custody, and as also said, we seek another person. And I am intent on bringing those responsible to justice. I won't tolerate this violence, and the BPS will be highly focused, highly robust and committed to address any instance of violence and bring those people before the courts. And I urge anybody with information to contact us and to tell us what they know. We depend on the community to support us, and we depend on their information to take action. I am listening to the concerns of the community and the questions that they raise, and it's right to ask what the BPS is doing about these matters. In many situations, we do a lot of activity that's behind closed doors, investigations and covert activity. And I want to reassure the community that every single officer and every single member of staff is attending to issues that we currently face, and we are listening to their concerns. And in that regard, we are addressing the way in which we're structured. And as we go forward into 2019, as said previously, we see the introduction of parish constables to work closely with communities. We see a restructure of teams across the entire BPS to focus on everything from gang-related violence right way through to issues of vulnerability and protecting children and other vulnerable people. We're changing the service to be more visible, and we're changing the service to be more responsive to the community and to attend their concerns. And most importantly, public safety is not the sole responsibility of the Bermuda Police Service. It's the responsibility of all aspects of government, or other partners, and also the voluntary sector, and we're working very closely with them to be collective in how we respond to these issues and to make Bermuda and keep Bermuda a safer place than it currently is. I'm quite happy to take questions.
Commissioner Trevor Lindsay, TNN. Do you believe there's still a small handful of guns on the island? And if you don't, what volume of numbers you think it might be?
Well, as you're aware, we recovered significantly 3 firearms that we believe is connected to gang-related violence some week ago. And yes, clearly by the incident that took place recently, there are still firearms. The reality of that is that they're very few in number, and we know that through the intelligence that we receive, the way in which we work with other partners to make Bermuda highly resistant to illegal firearms coming onto the island. So yes, there are some out there. No, we're not complacent around that matter, but to reassure the public, it is a very small number.
Reports of rival gang fractions are looking for the second suspect, as you just indicated. What are you doing to manage the vigilante or street justice that is upon us?
Well, I won't support any term around street justice. The police are responsible for dealing with issues around law and order, and indeed with the courts. And I strongly urge anybody listening to this that if they are involved in gang-related matters, to be very conscious around the focus that we're putting on them. And we will put them in front of the courts, and we will send them to prison with the assistance of other departments, and we won't tolerate it. We're very overt, as described. We've got resources all over the island working, and we're engaging with certain parties to address their behaviour, and we need the community's help. But there's a vast amount of covert activity that we're doing through surveillance, and people should be very conscious that if they are up to any illegal activity, we will find out and we will do something about it.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Paul from Gazette. You said so today and yesterday at the press conference, and Jason Smith said as well, that, you mentioned today increase in gang tensions. He said yesterday that the shooting was gang-related. I'm wondering if you can provide a little bit more. Are both the victim in the latest shooting and the suspect gang members?
Well, I think as highlighted by yesterday's press conference, we do believe it's gang-related. To go into the actual details it's probably too early at this stage, not least because we've got an ongoing investigation and we're seeking further evidence. So it's difficult for me to answer that at the moment. But I think probably the point that I will raise to communities is there's a very small handful of people that we believe are responsible for this. We do believe that they're connected to gangs, and that's where our focus is at this present time.
This is a rival gang situation, though. This is not action that's been mediated by members of the same gang. This is different factions.
Yeah, we believe it is different factions, and we believe there is rivalry. But to solve that through violence, to solve that through gun-related crime is not acceptable.
The increase in gang tensions, then, is this pertaining to anything particular? Is this about some kind of, interest in increasing area or territory? Is it about money, or is this just kind of a tit-for-tat retaliation?
Again, my point, I'm not being difficult over this. It is very easy to assume whether it's connected to drug-related matters, territorial matters, and this is obviously part of our investigation because, of course, the fundamental focus at the moment is bringing parties to justice that are responsible for the murder the other day, but actually the deep-rooted causes as to why this is taking place, we need to get to the bottom of as well. And that's where we work closely with government. We work with Pastor Bean's team and other voluntary groups to start looking at the root causes and how we actually diffuse these situations, recognising that if tension does take place, actually solving it through violence is the wrong way to go. We can actually solve it through engagement and conversation.
Obviously, you touched a little bit about it regarding the stepped-up plans for tonight and for the days ahead. And I'm wondering, you talked about it a little bit with the parish constables as well. Is some of what's gone on with the 2 murders this month and the number of firearms-related incidents in the past couple of weeks, has this at all influenced or changed the policing plans for the weeks and months ahead?
No. When I joined the BPS back in August, I had some very clear plans that we discussed in going forward to make us a lot more community orientated, put resources into the parishes and also restructure ourselves to be more visible, more able to address some aspects, and I've mentioned vulnerability. So those plans haven't changed, they've just become more relevant. And I think the other issue is that policing is not just about the police. It involves many other different agencies, and we're in close contact with the Minister of National Security's office about discussing how other departments respond, so we take a collective address of the issues that we face.
I guess my final question, and I understand it might be a difficult one, when you refer to a few number of firearms on Bermuda streets, any idea what that number looks like?
But it would all be guesswork. I think our issue is that, yes, whilst it is extremely concerning as to what's taken place over the past couple of weeks, what the public often don't see is what we prevent, the issues that we stop, the covert activity. The 3 firearms that we took away a couple of weeks ago, I cannot underestimate the significance of that in being able to prevent future violence and future murders. And that's probably one of the few times that we've actually gone to the public and said, this is what we're actually doing from the covert side of our business. Sometimes it's like an iceberg. People will only see what's visible on the top, but the reassurance I put across is that the activity that's taken place through intelligence, other resources, is considerable to ensure that people are safe and we address people that use violence.
Appreciate that.
Commissioner, you have activity tonight in St. George, a football game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you have the manpower to police?
Yes, we do.
Just in case something happens tonight.
The issue is that we can manage our resources and we manage them according to risk. And we had discussions this morning about bringing additional officers on, and we can call upon people to attend. We have relevant commanders in place that are addressing the issues, and as I said, we're engaging with other partners to get them to understand some of the things that they can do, whether it be around security and other restrictions they put in place. We have a very controlled, very informed plan in going forward. I think the other thing to recognise is that this is in addition to what we would normally do around New Year. We want people to feel safe, want people to feel reassured, and we want to have resources in place to be able to address those issues. So whether it's from antisocial behaviour or parties through to roadside sobriety, or the case that we're dealing with at the moment, which is around the violence that we've touched upon, the BPS have got the resources to deal with those issues.
It's not a good way to end the year and start the new year. What is the strategy for the BPS for 2019 to manage gang and gun culture?
I think what we clearly need to do is continue what we're doing, which is around prevention. So whether it be around using intelligence to seize firearms, whether it be working ever more closely with communities to find out information from them, and then working directly with individuals that are involved in gang-related violence to get them to divert, get them to move away from that behaviour. It's a very complex area, but it requires ownership, it requires clarity, and it requires real focus and effort, and that's what we have with the BPS. But the other reassurance I have is that quite clearly from government and other partners, they're signed up to the same direction and will be working even more closer as we go into 2019.
A very difficult question, my last question. You said that you're going to have armed response officers. There's a myth in Bermuda about the firearm officers. They cannot respond. It's a protocol. If they are engaged in a standoff, what's the protocol?
Well, I'm an experienced strategic firearms commander, may extend to about 15 years. Yes, there are protocols, there are procedures. The deployment of armed officers on the streets of Bermuda is not unusual. We have them there every day. God forbid we ever have a situation where armed police have to use their weapons, and I don't want that to be the case. But often, by the presence of armed officers, it can provide twofold. One is a direct message to those that want to choose that type of behaviour that we will address it. And secondly, it's there to reassure the public that the BPS has the full resources and capability to deal with any incident.
Okay, is that it? If I may, sorry, just one additional question. The additional person of interest, was it how you described it?
Yes.
Is there a reason that person's name is up?
I think the thing you'll have to respect is that we're in the process of an investigation, and quite clearly there are evidential matters that we go forward. But also, I'm neither naive nor will I not be candid. This individual knows that he is being sought by the police. His family know that fact. His friends know that fact. And my message quite clearly is either that individual, his family, his friends, or somebody knows his whereabouts, just tell us. Come into custody. There are questions that obviously we need to raise, but there's also personal safety that we need to afford.
Thank you so much. Do we have any press conference? Thank you very much.